One of the biggest lies entrepreneurs tell themselves is, I can't start because I don't have enough resources. What if I told you that the problem isn't a lack of resources, right? The problem is that you're actually not maximizing the resources that you already have. Now, most people think that resources means only money, right? And that is incorrect. So resources can literally be a lot of things, right? It can be skills. So the things that like you already know how to do, right? It can literally be knowledge, the things that you already know, okay? That can come from previous jobs, that can come from education, all of the things, right? Relationships, right? Different people that you meet, whether that's friendship, relationship, romantic, however. Time, learning time management, learning how and what to actually prioritize, right? Technology, okay? Technology is a resource. You know, we have AI right nowadays that people are literally using to build their businesses, right? Build different things, content creation, all of the stuff. And then even your experience, right? All of the things that you have learned throughout your life. So those are also resources. So money is not just resources, but a lot of times we think that we can't do something because we don't have the money, right? A lot of times we think that we can't build the business, build the brand, become an entrepreneur, become a leader, start that business because we need money. And yes, we, will need money to some extent to get it started and so on and so forth. But if you use the resources that I just mentioned, you'll find your way into, how to actually brand, become an entrepreneur, start your business, using the things that you already have. And resource management, of course, is one of the 9 skills that I also teach in the 9 God-given skills business execution framework. For example, when you're like starting your business, right? You don't need quote a website. Why? Because you have social media. Use social media as of right now. Get on TikTok, get on YouTube, get on Instagram, get on Facebook, get on what's the rest? IG Threads. Get on all of the platforms, okay? Because you never know who's watching. You never know who's looking for you, right? You never know who's watching your content. And people may not always like, right? People may not always comment, but trust me, people are watching. Those are resources. Use what it is that you have. You don't necessarily have to have, an expensive camera. I'm literally recording on my iPhone 16 Pro Max, right? Literally use what you have. And people underestimate their network. So when you're starting your business and starting your brand, you want to ensure that you are literally going out, right? Talk to your people, talk to your friends, talk to your family. If you are, in church, talk to the people in your church, your community, right? Start building a community. That's what Believe Your Vision is all about. It's an online platform, community on the school platform where I'm literally gathering a lot of men and women together, right? To basically turn your God-given gifts into impact, into income, and to create a structured, purposeful business. Use social media connections, right? You literally just have to put yourself out there. It doesn't matter what type of creativity, what type of idea, right, that you have. You can make something out of yourself with it. We all have some type of gift. We all have some type of skill, and we need to start using those things to, help ourselves, but also literally serve the next person, benefit the next person, right? So you don't know, your next customer literally could be somebody that you already know, or even if you don't know them, like I say, at your job, your friends, your family, your community, your church. Reach out to them. Or when you're talking and when you're having conversations and when you're going out, bring up what it is that you do, right? Bring up what it is that, your idea that you have. And again, yes, you have to be wise, right? And have that discernment on who you can say certain things to. Like you don't want to just go out spilling all of your ideas and things that you wrote in your journal. But you do have to talk, you do have to communicate, and you do have to get the word out there. People waste a lot of time waiting. People waste a lot of time on waiting to have everything perfect, waiting to have, the right setup, waiting to have the right materials, waiting to have the right resources, waiting, right, to have the right clothing or the right hairstyle. Like, stop waiting and just be you, right? Be yourself, be authentic. Sometimes people try to wait until they have a logo before they start. Sometimes people gotta wait until they get a website, wait to have a plan. just start. Literally just start. And some people say, well, I don't know how to get started. Just start with whatever you have, whether that is writing in the journal. First, take what it is that's in your mind and write it down in your journal. That's step number one. Take what's in your mind and write it down. And then from once you have written it down, then we go into turning the things that you have already written down into reality. Taking one step towards your goal, so now it can be fruitful. Now it can literally, like come to life. Sometimes all we're doing is just imagining. Sometimes all we're doing is just wishing. When I say this, sometimes praying is just not enough, right? Like, yes, God wants us to pray. Yes, God wants us to talk to him, right? Yes, we are supposed to pray, and we can pray. But also in the Bible, it says faith without works is dead. So we can pray all day long until our face is blue. But if we are not putting in the work ourselves, if we are not doing what we are supposed to do, if we're not taking the time to learn the skills, to use the resources that we already have, take our knowledge, take our wisdom, take all of those things, if we're not able to do that on our part, how can you expect God to step in and intervene and do his job on his part? He's waiting on you to literally take the next step. We can pray, we can ask for all of the things, but we can't just do that and that just be it. And then we just sit around the house lazy all day. We just sit around, I'm waiting on God. He said he gonna help me. He said he gonna help me. Yes, he is gonna help you, but he's also waiting on you to trust him to do what he said that he gonna do. But he's also wanting you to trust him with the things that he already gave you, right? The things that's already in your face, the resources that you already have, your skills, your knowledge, your expertise, all of the things. He's waiting on you to start with that first so he can bless you with more. So those literally, y'all, are resources. Skills are resources. Ask yourself, can you organize things? Can you communicate? Can you be, a leader? Can you serve? Can you teach? Can you create? Right? All of these things are skills. And once you find out what it is that you can help somebody organize, how you're able to help somebody communicate, could be a workshop, how you're going to teach, how are you going to teach somebody to do something that you already know how to do? Because we all get on YouTube and we're looking for videos. Oh, how do you start a crochet business? Or how do you crochet? How do I crochet a hat? How do I crochet, a shirt, right? How do I start my own t-shirt business? How do I make my own t-shirts? How do I make, my kids t-shirts for their birthday party? We literally get on social media because we're trying to find somebody else to teach us something that we don't know how to do, or maybe something that we want to get better at. That's the same thing. If you have a gift, you have a purpose, you have a skill, somebody is looking for you to teach them what it is that they don't know. So all of that can turn into the impact. All of that can turn into, right, the income. Resourcefulness beats resources. And what I mean by that is that you have to understand, right? You have to realize that everything that you have is literally right in front of you. Entrepreneurship is not just about, making income and having that impact, right? It's literally more to it. So for instance, a couple of weeks ago, I went down to my best friend. She does shirts for her business, and she was doing some family shirts for like a group of 20, and she had did the design. The vendor that she uses that actually prints the DTF, what they do is they ship her a sample to make sure that the quality and everything is good. Once she approves it, they ship her the full, sheet. So they sent her the sample, she approved the quality. They ended up sending her the sheet, and the quality of the sheet was totally different from the sample. This company, y'all, is literally in Atlanta, Georgia. We're here in Virginia. And so she had to make the shirts literally the next day, and they were going to reprint it for her with the correct quality. They apologized or whatever. But of course, it wasn't going to get here into Virginia in time. So luckily, she has a family member that actually stays in Atlanta, Georgia, where the printing company is. They were literally maybe like 10 minutes away from the printing company. So once the vendor was able to reprint it in a better quality, her family member was able to go to the printing company, get the sheet, drive 4 hours up, right? We drove 4 hours down, literally met in South Carolina, just to go ahead and get the sheet. And then we had to turn around, come back 4 hours back to VA. They had to turn around and drive back 4 hours to Atlanta. But just to literally get the sheet so she could start making those shirts for this birthday party. And again, it was like 20 shirts that she had to make. And I say all that to say, that is what entrepreneurship is. Sometimes things are not going to be all rainbows and sunshines, right? There are gonna be times where, you know, you have to go out your way. There are gonna be times where you have to, you know, literally adapt, right, to certain things. There are gonna be times where you're gonna feel kind of weary, kind of anxious, kind of nervous. Oh my God, what am I supposed to do? You have to learn how to problem solve. Now, I mean, it could have been other ways that she could have said it. She could have reached out to the people and said, you know, hey, unfortunately, I'm not gonna be able to make it, da 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 da. But you gotta understand, I mean, these were 20 shirts. You know what I'm saying? These were 20 shirts, you know? So that's a lot. That's a big deal. It was for a 3-year-old birthday party. And so, you know, she stuck to her word. She and did what it was that she had to do to, you know, fulfill, you know, what it was. But like I said, that's entrepreneurship. We have to learn how to manage, you know, those crises, manage those changes. And I teach that all in the business execution framework, right? I teach, you know, like I said, the resource management. I teach time management, right? I teach communication, leadership. When it goes into, you know, entrepreneurship, being that leader, change management, crisis management, all of that is what entrepreneurs typically go through. But see, nobody teaches you or shows you how to manage those things, giving you different examples and how you're actually able to use those skills in a real life situation. So I asked you today, what resources literally are you currently overlooking, right, in your business? Okay. And that is something that I do want you to think about. You can always drop it in the comments, but try to figure out, like, what are some of the things that you already have and how can you use what you already have to maximize, right, what you already know. Look at your skills, look at your experience, look at your resources, all of those things. And drop it in the comments and definitely let us know. If you have not already joined the Believe Your Vision community, make sure that you join on our school platform. It is free to join. But then there's also tools, resources, and it's becoming a business development hub, right? So once you click on it, you'll see tons of different things inside where I do talk about, you know, like I said, the 9 God-given skills principle, the business execution framework. But when you click on it, you'll go to the classroom, and then once you click inside the classroom, you'll see the free business startup checklist. Go ahead and download that so you can kind of get acquainted of, hey, where am I, right? Like, actually in my business. And there are a couple of other things and tools and resources that you can actually use for your business to become the best entrepreneur, leader, and mentor that you know, can be in your business. It's all about helping one another. It's literally all about serving, but it's all about using the skills and the things that you already have to set that example and be successful in your business. So that is that. If y'all gonna have any questions, definitely let me know. And until next time, see ya.